Welcome to this session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice. In these sessions, we go through short, different meditations that develop in sequence for grounding and settling, and then focused mindfulness, and then open awareness, and finally, some compassion practice for connection with others. So today, I thought we'd work a little bit more on different techniques to work with the breathing. So one thing that's pretty obviously helpful, your posture affects your breathing. So if you're all slumped over, it blocks your breathing. If you're just sitting there spaced out, there's all sorts of different curves. Your body's slumped, your chin is up in the air. And ideally, what we want is a smooth flow in through our nostrils and deep into our lungs, and then back out again. And if some of the air comes out through our mouth, that's okay. What we want to emphasize, what I want to emphasize today, is to work with the breathing and connect it with a feeling of letting go. And in some scientific studies, they've shown that the in-breath activates certain aspect of our system that energizes and gathers, and the out-breath is more connected with relaxing and letting go. It's kind of like if you come home from some busy event and you want to plop on the sofa, you don't plop on the sofa and take a big in-breath. You plop on the sofa and go, ah. And that breathing out, you sink down. So we'll work a bit with that. And one of the reasons we work with the breathing, there are several reasons we work with the breathing. One, it is very connected with our mental state. If we're uptight, our breathing is very just in the upper top part of our lungs. And in fact, like a deer in the headlights, we freeze and even stop breathing when we're afraid of something. I think it's a theory. It's again like animals in the forest of being silent. That if you feel there's danger nearby, you stop breathing, so you don't make any sound at all. And then when the danger passes, what happens? A feeling of safety, a feeling of ease. The body and the mind is continually monitoring the body. So in addition, not only is the breathing a reflection of the mind, our mind is monitoring our breathing. So if we're breathing and we're tense, our mind says maybe there's danger nearby. And so it creates a spiral of anxiety. We get more anxious, our breathing gets tighter, we get more anxious, our breathing gets tighter. So we can cut that by breathing out and letting go. And then our mind says, oh, well, I guess we're okay. So the mind and the breath connect that way. Also, breathing is something that we do without having to think about it. So it's something that we can tune into as a bodily process that's always happening in the present moment, because you don't breathe in the past or the future. And it's something that you don't have to control, that it happens whether you're thinking about it or not. And speaking of control, the interesting thing about the breathing is that we can control it to some extent. I can say, hold your breath, and you can breathe in and hold your breath. But if I say for the next hour, you can't control, you're not going to be able to do that. Your body's going to say, sorry, I'm going to breathe. And so breathing's like life. You can control it a little bit, but ultimately it's going to run its course. So That's a lot of what we do with the breathing. So I'm going to do a few different exercises connected with the breathing and work with that as we go through. So to begin with, let's work with our posture. And however you're sitting, and again, for this practice, we want to be sitting, because if we're lying down, we tend to fall asleep. And if we're standing up, we tend to be walking. Now, there is a walking meditation practice, and there's going to sleep meditation practices, but this one is for paying attention, being awake. And as was taught to us in school, teacher said, sit up and pay attention. So first you sit up so you can pay attention. Have your weight balanced so that it's equal on your sit bones. You're not leaning one side or the other, forward or back. As far as your lower body is concerned, it's helpful to have your knees below the level of your hips. Takes the strain off your legs and your lower back. So if your legs are short, you can have your feet planted flat on the floor if you're in a chair. Obviously, if you're in a cushion, you sit cross-legged. Now, there are also, in the Japanese tradition, there are meditation benches where you actually sit kneeling, and there's room for your lower legs and feet under the bench. But for our purposes, we're going to sit either cross-legged or feet flat on the floor if you're in a chair. And your hands are palm down on each respective thigh. And have your upper arms so that your upper arms, move your hands so that your upper arms are hanging straight down from your shoulders. So your hands won't be reaching way out past your knees, which pulls you forward, nor all the way back to your hips, which pushes your elbows back. But just let your upper arms be hanging straight down and hands palm down on each thigh. And as for your torso, what's helpful is to practice with an open heart, and to do so, feel like your sternum, the center point of your sternum, your breastbone, comes up and forward a tiny bit, just a little bit, quarter of an inch. Doing so, you can see the shoulders, without moving my shoulders, they go back a little bit so that they're more in line with the ears. The chest is opened up. You might even feel a tiny pinch between your shoulder blades. And you'll notice the breath flows much more freely in and out. And when you do lift that up, you don't let your chin go up. Keep your chin at the same level, and it will naturally tuck it in. And the tucked in chin actually is helpful in the yogic tradition. Their energy flows through channels in your neck, and this kind of locks them so that there's less busyness of the mind. That's what I've been told. It's something you can look into, experience for yourself. Our jaw is relaxed, but not hanging open. And you can leave your lips just slightly parted. If you're more comfortable, they can be very lightly touching. Slightly parted. It's okay if some air comes out your mouth as you exhale. We want to inhale through our nose. And your tongue can just rest relaxed in whatever natural place it is. Or if you're comfortable, you can let it drift up and very lightly rest. Have the tip of your tongue resting against your upper palate just behind your front teeth. It's also said that that reduces the flow of saliva. And there is no problem in the practice. You don't need to let saliva build up in your mouth. You can just swallow. The idea is to make this very normal and natural. You're sitting and breathing. Nothing special, nothing extra. As for our eyes, we're going to have our eyes open. So you may want to move your device or move your seat so that you're not looking directly into your device, and move it so that later when we're looking more straight out, you're again not looking right into the screen. In this case, the angle, they said the angle of your eyes kind of matches the angle of your nose. So it's looking downward just a couple of feet in front of you. But with a soft gaze, you're not looking at something particular. Just look in that direction, let your eyes rest, your gaze rest in that direction, and then soften it. So it's almost like you're looking at the space near your body that you're sitting in front and a little bit to the sides. And just do a quick check of your body for any kind of tension. Just let it melt out of you. Your forehead, eyes, jaw, and ears. Breathe out, let the tension melt. Neck and shoulders. We're holding our breastbone up, so there's a little tension to do that. But your shoulders don't need to be up near your ears. Just breathe out and let your shoulders hang very naturally. There's a little bit of tension in your sternum, of lifting your sternum slightly, and the rest of your torso relaxed around that. Especially your lower back and deep belly. Let it soften, breathe out, and let it melt without losing your posture. Deep belly and pelvic area. Notice if there's any clenching. Breathe out, let go. Upper arms, forearms, hands. Notice if your hands are pulling in your fingers. Extend them and then let them relax. Hips and thighs. Only tense enough to hold your posture. Knees, calves, ankles, and feet. Breathe out, let all the tension melt and flow down and out of you. Our breathing and our body always in the present moment, but our mind can drift off into the past or the future or elsewhere in the present. And the idea of this first part of the practice is to be more present. And we do that by simply noticing, tracking, noticing, am I with the breath? Or was my mind just off into thoughts? We can notice thoughts coming up and passing through our mind. Because we also pick up on sounds, any movements within our field of vision, bodily sensations. All these are happening around, but they're background around the main focus on our breathing. But when the thoughts take the foreground, then our breathing goes to the background and we're not noticing it anymore. Then we're off in thoughts. And we track it by simply, when we realize it, we make a little mental note. Thinking, that was thinking, as meaning that was what I was mainly engaged in. And now back to the breathing. As soon as you realize that you were thinking, you're already back in the present moment. What you come back to is the technique. Whatever way we're working with the breathing, that's what we come back to. By labeling in this way, we track and we know our intention is be more in the present with the breathing, less often thoughts, without judging and without beating ourselves up about it. Just gently wanting to move our habits to be more present. As the gong fades, let your awareness drift down to the deep core of your torso. Feel it expanding and contracting. What you're experiencing is the diaphragm pushing down to draw air in and pushing up to breathe, to exhale. So as the diaphragm pushes down to draw air in, it feels like our deep core is expanding or filling. As it pushes up, it feels like our deep core is contracting or empty. Be an observer of your breathing, just down there in your core. Whatever is happening in the rest of your body, in the environment, is background. Rest your mind on that filling and emptying in your core. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. If you went off into a daydream, it's likely that your posture slumped a bit. After labeling thinking, raise your breastbone a little and reinvigorate your posture. Now, without losing the uprightness of your posture, and keeping your focus deep in your core, with each out breath, feel like your whole body is sinking down, getting more and more grounded with each out breath. Breathe out, sink down. Now relax your posture, move a little bit, take a fresh start. When you're ready, resume your posture. This time, let your eyes be fully open and your gaze further out. And once you've taken your posture, raised your sternum, keep your chin tucked slightly. Relax your facial muscles, and your eyes will come to rest in a particular direction, probably a bit below horizontal. Look out and soften your gaze. Again, if you need to move your device or your seat so that you can look out into the space of the room you're sitting in. Soften your gaze and open up your peripheral vision, side to side and top to bottom. And now we put particular attention on connecting with the out breath. Again, breathing in is gathering, out is letting go. So this is a practice of letting go. And And as the breath goes out, you can imagine the breath going out and mixing with the atmosphere in the room. As the breath mixes with the atmosphere in the room, it dissolves. So in the same way, let your tight focus as the breath goes out dissolve. Let go. So this is a practice of letting go. The body will breathe in by itself. When you let go, your awareness opens up, so you'll be aware of what you're seeing, hearing, feeling the breath come in, maybe some thoughts coming and going. But you're resting in that open space while your body gathers for another out breath. And then again, out, let go. And rest in that openness, open awareness. Out, let go. So this is a practice in the same way when we were with our body of breathing out and sinking down. Now we're breathing out and letting go. Not needing things to be a particular way for us to feel okay. Breathe out, let go, and relax in that spaciousness. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. Again, if your mind wanders into a daydream, just smile and make a little mental note. That was thinking. I'm back in the present and an opportunity to go out and let go. If you're comfortable resting in that spaciousness, you don't need to feel like you're coming back to the start of the out breath. Just rest in that spaciousness, with the out breath happening within that openness, within that open awareness. As you're continually letting go with each out breath, you may feel some resistance, a holding back to that letting go. If you do, put that resistance on the out breath and send it out and let it dissolve into space. Out, let go. And if you need to, you can move a little bit to refresh your posture. And as the gong fades, when you're ready, you can resume upright but not rigid. Raise your sternum slightly and feel an open heart. We can feel our open heart gives us a dignified quality to our head and shoulders. And let your gaze be straight out towards the horizon. And with each out breath, imagine that your awareness extends farther and farther out beyond the room that you're in, out to the horizon in all directions, out to the sky in all directions. It's nighttime where you are, out to the sky, out to the stars, the night sky, infinitely in all directions. Awareness as big as the sky. Within that feeling of vast openness, we start a contemplation. Think that all the beings in the world are under that same sky, in different places, but under the same sky. All the beings in the world are connected to the same earth, different places, but the same earth. All the beings in the world relating to the same air and water, different places, but the same elements, the air and water. And all the living beings in the world have the same aversion to pain and suffering, the same wish for contentment, peace, and happiness. Fear of illness and danger that we all share, desire for comfort and security. And from your heart of compassion, the capacity that we all have to feel, send out the wish as you breathe out that all beings could feel safety, comfort, health, and contentment. Send it out to all beings. As you breathe out, you can include yourself as one of those beings. You can include loved ones, whatever comes to mind. Individuals, groups, or all beings. And now add to your contemplation that as you breathe in, you can relieve them of the suffering, fear, anxiety, and illness, mental or physical. Breathe in and imagine you're relieving them of all those things and yourself as well. Breathe out, sending peace, health, and happiness. Breathe in, taking away fear, illness, and suffering. If you'd like, you can go a little deeper of what's behind all that. The poisonous emotions of greed, hatred, ignorance, prejudice, jealousy, lust for power, insecurity causing one to try to take advantage of others. All of those negative emotions. And as you breathe in, imagine that you can draw out from all beings those negative emotions, like drawing the poison of a snake bite out of the wound. And from your heart, send them love, compassion, understanding, acceptance, patience, generosity, all the opposites, the positive qualities, the virtues we value so much. Draw out their poisonous emotions and replace them with all the positive emotions. Love and understanding instead of hatred and ignorance. Your own feelings come up, do it for yourself. Imagine that you can draw out from yourself all those negative emotions and fill yourself with love, understanding, generosity, and acceptance. And as the gong fades, let go of the contemplation, refresh your posture, and lower your gaze. Just aware of your body and the space you're sitting in. Being with the breathing, simply present. And it's helpful to conclude the session whenever you practice to further your aspiration by dedicating whatever benefit of the practice happened to others, so that you're doing this practice in order to be more present, aware, and kind in interactions with others and in feelings towards yourself. So you can repeat after me or put in your own words. May the practice I have just done you have even more benefit for others than for myself. And that concludes this session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice.